Joining me today is Mr. Prashanth Prakash. He's the founding partner for Accel India. Sir, many thanks for speaking to PTI and congratulations on your Padma Awards.
My pleasure.
How does the Padma Award recognizing your contribution to the industry actually reflect on your role in shaping India's startup landscape?
I've reflected on it. I really feel that it is the government's recognition of the startup ecosystem which I think embodies this award, right? So, in the last 15 years, I believe the startup ecosystem, from being really not considered like you could have thought of it as a boutique industry, right, has now become the mainstream driver of our economy. And I think our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, strongly believes that in that journey to Viksit Bharat, startups will have a very pivotal role. So I think this is really a recognition of the contributions of the ecosystem and contributions of everybody at Accel and a lot of our peer firms who have built a lot of economic value and job growth in this country. So I think it is, I would say this is like a coming of age of the startup ecosystem and recognition of its power and capability to transform our economy.
What message do you hope this honor actually conveys to aspiring entrepreneurs and investors in India?
Very clearly, nobody would have imagined the potential that was there in this idea of startup, right? And to what scale these startups would get to. And more importantly, now that we are seeing startups IPO, we know that it is not only about a few investors participating in this idea of startups, but as public companies, now millions of common folks and common retail investors get to participate in the idea of startups. So I think the message is clear that as startups, we as startup founders, we have a responsibility to nation building. We have a responsibility to doing what it takes to take us to Viksit Bharat. And startups are also no longer a phenomena of urban India. So that's the other broader message here for me, from my side, right? I think every tier 2, tier 3 town now has the basic infrastructure, basic set of angel investors or mentors where people can start. I mean, today we see as many new startups coming from Jaipur and some parts of Karnataka like Mysore and Hubli and Dharwad. So I think the broad basing of the startup opportunity means that for founders, it's no longer a very top IIT only type of elitist opportunity. It's for everybody, and it's a Bharat, pan Bharat kind of opportunity for startup entrepreneurs. And the next 10 years is going to be bigger and greater than the last 10 years. So if you're a startup entrepreneur, there's no better time to start. And the number of sectors startups are impacting is also 10x, where startups were only impacting a few areas in urban India, but now it's really more multidimensional and multi-sectoral. So there is a lot of opportunities for founders who have the capability to imagine and the capability to envision what products India needs and what products the rest of the world needs. So it's a limitless, there's limitless headroom for entrepreneurs.
How do you look at the growth of the startup industry? How do you size up the market for 2025? And what is it that you're most excited about?
So I think the overall mood is post-COVID, we went through a little bit of, I would say, recalibration. I think startups had to get adjusted to a little bit of a new reality where they had to balance growth and profitability. They have to understand that growth at all costs is not what investors want. and what the market wants. So I think we have now come to a stage where entrepreneurs and investors have understood that what's the right model for India and what is the right type of startup that can be built for India. So I think that there is a good deal of dry powder across multiple funds, including Accel, and we see a lot of vibrancy and continued activity in the early stage. And we just spoke about the later IPO stage, so there's some activity there, hopefully also this year, and I think the markets will stabilize and we'll see some activity. I think there is a lot of new Indian capital that is also coming into the ecosystem, and this new capital is coming from family offices, and these were investors who previously were not necessarily viewing startups as an asset class or venture investing as an asset class, but I think they've just seen activity all around them, and they've seen some of their folks that they know well become unicorns and go IPO, and they've seen some of their peers invest in them. So this has become a real asset class and is here to stay. So I think I just spoke about the opportunity being so huge. I think the number of entrepreneurs staying back in the country and wanting to build for our country is very huge, and the availability of capital is also increasing by the day. So I think there is a lot of vibrancy in the ecosystem. What has changed a little bit is I think investors are more careful even in the early stages on what the ticket sizes are. So a seed or a Series A was about 2x what it is right now, and I think rightly so. I think the right amount of capital at the right time, I think, builds the right kind of a startup. So I think excess of anything is probably not good for the company and in the long run the ecosystem. So I would say we have come to a very nice kind of sweet spot in the ecosystem where the entrepreneurs understand how and what to build, and investors also know what they are looking for, and there's enough of a matchmaking that is happening in terms of this opportunity.
So what really are the sweet spots? What kind of startups is this dry powder chasing?
Yeah, so I think there is a progressive broad basing, like I said, in terms of opportunities, and there are two huge areas that we in Accel focus, and I think we believe moving forward there'll be very materially large categories for the country. One is of course AI. You can't talk about startups and technology without talking about AI.
No conversation is complete without
not
AI.
Even startups, any no conversation. So I think the last 2 years we have seen a lot of foundational models being built, a lot of maturing of these models. I think what you're seeing this year, and which is where India's sweet spot lies, is in being able to apply a lot of those foundational models and use a lot of foundational models for transforming enterprises, for building even more efficiency within enterprises, and to build in a lot of disruptions. I mean, businesses have to disrupt, and if they have to disrupt with AI, you need to be able to build the right tools and the agents in this world of agentic technologies for enterprises to leverage AI. And I think enterprises have been kind of watching and kind of salivating on AI, but I don't think they've been able to really take advantage of AI. And that's where the Indian ecosystem, through our capabilities to build applications on these foundational models, will be a huge area that Accel and other investors will look at. The second big area is, I think we have to, as a nation, industrialize in the current context, which is not low value industrialization, slightly more higher value industrialization, slightly more more efficient use of assets, but at the same time IP led, and precision manufacturing and more deeper tech manufacturing. So more deeper tech industrialization, I think, is also, I mean, I would have not myself imagined, I would have said it's a startup activity. But we are starting to see a lot of startup founders not really get intimidated by setting up a manufacturing capability, building real products. And so this whole idea that AI for industrialization or AI plus physical asset based manufacturing and building, I think is going to help the country in a lot of import substitution. And once you kind of leverage that for import substitution and build for the nation, the ability for us to build frugally and with a very low cost base in India will help us plug into this new multipolar complex supply chain that is emerging from what's happening in the US and everywhere. I think the Indian entrepreneur has an opportunity to plug into those value chains, and that requires an understanding of AI, it requires an understanding of new age manufacturing and how to leverage IP.
Okay, I'm hearing multipolarization and US and imports, and that's the cue for my next question. What do you make of US's tariff moves? How is this going to impact Indian growth, India per se, and indeed global growth, global GDP growth?
See, globally, none of us know what is, I mean, it is TBD. We really need to see. It's too complex for me to comment on that. But I understand from the last 2-3 years of looking at where are India's strengths, where do we have a right to win beyond the services economy that we so nicely built out and exported, beyond the generic pharma industry. I think it is we can become a hub for processing IP. And this IP, see, we are a huge consumer of a lot of that IP, right? And this IP, people in this multipolar world don't want to depend on any just one country to be able to give them their product and process, and everything cannot be done in one country anyway. So while there is a lot of aspiration to bring a lot of jobs back to the US, and some of that will happen, but there is a lot that has been envisioned by Indian entrepreneurs as what can be built from India. Just to give you 2-3 examples, I think the defense ecosystem. We have been a huge importer of defense products, right? But I think there is now enough understanding of science, engineering and AI within the country that in the defense industry, and a lot of good initiatives like the IDEX program. So startups now should take advantage of a lot of these programs that are there in the country, a little bit more openness by the venture ecosystem to invest in areas of defense which they were not in aerospace. We are a huge base for aircraft consumption and there are a lot of these interesting offset mechanisms where now we should be able to build for that. In the EV ecosystem, we might not manufacture necessarily the next Tesla from this country, but can we manufacture components that can plug into the EV ecosystem? Is that going to happen only from China? No. It's not only BYD that is going to supply everything to the rest of the world. They may, of course, today have a lead in batteries and do that, but there are many other components that go into an EV supply chain, and that we see as something entrepreneurs building. So I can go on and on. I'm very bullish on this industrialization opportunity, and and startups playing a key role in areas of sustainability, sustainable products from here, products for EV, aerospace, space tech and defense.
A lot of industry voices talking about it, that India is actually more favorably placed vis-a-vis some of the rival, for instance, electronic manufacturing hubs like China, like Thailand, like Malaysia. Do you think we indeed have an edge and that we should actually jump on that opportunity post the US tariffs?
I think we do some of that, and we should take advantage of the assembly and the low hanging kind of electronics. But I think whether it is semiconductors or it is leveraging slightly more IP-led precision manufacturing, I think those are more important. I think that's where you will, I mean, at least coming from a startup world, I would like to see disruptions. I would like to see innovation. And I think that can only happen if you, as a startup, are thinking of what is new and novel that I can offer in a traditional industry, or what is it that is disrupting a material, a specific material that is replacing another material, right? So I think these kind of transformational areas, whether it's in energy transformation, energy is huge, all kinds of innovations when it comes to energy transformation, and not just in automotive batteries, right? There are many kinds of innovations. Being able to provide for this new opportunities in defense, right? This whole area of unmanned vehicles. Of course, drones are the very small manifestations of.
But the overall UAV.
The overall UAV is a huge opportunity, and I think we have all the kind of the building blocks. So entrepreneurs just have to put together those building blocks, and we have, for example, invested in a company called Sarla Aviation that is building an air taxi from Bangalore, and that can, as a 7-seater, decongest a lot of traffic we face in our urban areas as an air taxi. And we are, maybe like 6 months, 1 year behind the best UAV in China or the best UAV in the US. So I think we are getting there. I think entrepreneurs are, and by the way, this team in Sarla has a global team. These are not, so I think being able to tap into this global repository of Indians who are building the best of the AI technologies and the best of these next generation disruption innovations in the rest of the world, I think being able to leverage them and collaborate with them both cross-border and bring some of them back to India, and I think startups will be more nimble and agile in being able to build those collaborations and bring them here. So just to go back to the original crux of the thing, I think there are multiple ways in which we can take advantage of this recent tariff announcements, and we just have to be creative and just plug into the right opportunity.
Indeed, air taxis are going to reduce heartburn not just in Bengaluru,
No,
but
many
a lot of
cities.
other places.
Yes,
Right. I wanted to come to your own personal journey before I move to Accel. When you look back at your journey of building Accel, what are the big things that stand out for you?
I think the first thing that made Accel different is that we were all entrepreneurs as co-founders who started entrepreneurs. So we as entrepreneurs were very comfortable with building or what you could say as co-building companies. So we had a very different culture in Accel of being bold and kind of adventurous on new categories and being very entrepreneurial. So I think that has been the, being early, being kind of visionary on new categories that have not formed but are yet to be formed. Like we got into e-commerce when there was no e-commerce, we got into SaaS when there was no SaaS, we got into B2B supply chains and companies when there was no B2B companies, and same in agri-tech and now in AI, and now I'm talking about the industrials, right? So I think we have had this idea of a prepared mind where we are saying, while entrepreneurs are the ones who will ideate and think of the next big thing, how can we be best prepared to support them? So I think that has made Accel very different, and I'm very fortunate we had been able to bring together the best partners and a good team that is able to support India in whatever journey we have been through right now, but this next 10-year journey, which I said I'm even more bullish and thrilled about.
On Accel, I wanted to ask, what are the areas where Accel is going to open its purse strings over the next 1 or 2 years? What kind of startups are you most excited about? How much of money would we see you plowing into such startups? Is there a number there?
Yeah.
Also, two big names from your portfolio, Blackbuck and Swiggy, went public last year. Accel is the only global venture fund to be based in India. Apart from the capital, how else do you support the founders from seed to IPO?
Yeah, so the first question I think I've largely touched upon. The AI ecosystem is very pivotal for us, and we will invest a lot in that. Industrials is very big, and third is Bharat. We think entrepreneurship opportunities are not limited to urban India. I think there's a lot of areas in rural India when it comes to agriculture value chains, when it comes to also products and services that are very specific to the 700 million Indians or 800 million or 300 to 400 million households who have not been touched by entrepreneurship today. So it's AI, industrials and Bharat. I think these are the three broad areas that, and we have just closed in January, as you know, a 700 million fund, and we are very actively deploying that 700 million fund, and we typically do 15 to 25 investments a year, and our expectations is that we will do 20 to 25 investments this year too, in largely these three areas.
Will that meet the 700 million overall size? Or
No, we typically make these investments over 2-3 years.
2-3 years, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there another question?
And the second question was about how you handhold the founders from seed to IPO.
We have three ways in which we do this. One, I think in the early stages, there is a lot of product envisioning and there's a lot of product building. And we really participate very actively in that process with the companies to be able to help them refine their product trajectory and get their initial lighthouse customers, whether it's in India or globally, and being able to get that what we call as go-to-market strategy really honed in. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, how do we get them from 0 to 1? And we also have this program called Seed to Scale, where once you have this initial MVP and you have initial set of customers, how do you scale? So we do a lot of collaborative, networking between some of our startups which are now huge, which have gone IPO, and the existing startups which are just starting in those journeys. And third is we have a lot of specialists within Accel, whether it's in marketing, whether it's being able to access the public markets, in being able to access the right kind of talent. So in all these areas, we have very deliberate, directed and specific ways in which we intersect with these problems or challenges that these entrepreneurs have, and try to make a meaningful difference.
Commerce Minister Mr. Piyush Goyal talked about how the startup industry needs to reset or shift its innovation priorities, its innovation approach. My question to you is, given these observations, what should be the path for startups going forward in the next near term, mid term and long term?
I think we spoke a lot about this. So in that sense, we have covered most of this topic. But I will just re-emphasize that at a different point in a country's journey, there are different startups that are relevant. And we had a building out of the ecosystem in the last 15 years, where there were opportunities in urban India, where there were consumers who were looking for certain areas of convenience and being able to leverage the mobile phone and the power of the India stack and the fintechs that came through. So all of those have played a role in catalyzing and helping these technologies reach the consumer. But I think the larger opportunity is to be a relevant player in innovation and deep tech in the global stage. And I think that's what the minister was also talking about, that as startups, we have to now look at the white space as being, as being an opportunity to plug into this multipolar world like we spoke about. And can these innovations not only be benchmarked as great innovations for India, but can these be great innovations that benchmark themselves for any other, with respect to any other country? And once you're able to do that, I think that's when you're able to take ourselves from a $4 trillion economy and a fifth largest economy to the number 3 economy and $7 to $10 trillion economy. So I think it is the challenge in front of our entrepreneurs is to dream big for not only India, but dream big of what we can build from India.
Right. One final thing. The summers are on us. When will the funding winter be truly over for startups?
I think we are largely, maybe we are not in, definitely not in winter, but I think we are in early summer. And I think that's a nice place to be, right? This late spring and early summer, isn't that the best weather to be in? I think we are there, and I think it's something we can, build on. And I think too much of thawing and too much of money flow is also, we have seen some of the negatives of that. So I think I like the sweet spot we are in today.
Which would mean what? Funds looking to invest, but cautiously.
Invest cautiously
and
realistically, and for innovation and for entrepreneurs who are not only now building great products for the country, but who can dream big and build for the rest of the world.
Mr. Prashanth Prakash, how wonderful a conversation this was. Many thanks for speaking to PTI.
Thank you for asking me all the right questions, and it was a pleasure being here.